so I'm outside of a 2020 Honda Civic, and this is the LX model, so this is going to be your base model. A dead giveaway is going to be the hubcap covers that you'll see on the steel wheels. They're pretty well painted, and it's a nice look, but that is a quick way to determine if you're looking at one out on a lot. You'll also notice that it has the black mirrors, so it's not going to be the body colored. Now, when you move around to the front of this car, it's a classic setup. It's got a nice blacked out grille finish, and then it's got, you know, your standard LED daytime running lights, your halogen beam headlights. So the setup is pretty practical, pretty safe, pretty normal. You will notice, you can see it right up here, you'll see like a trapezoid shape, and that's actually part of the Honda sensing camera. So you've got a camera up there, and then you've actually got radar down here in the grille behind the Honda symbol. And I'll go over that when we hop in the car and we talk about some of the Honda Sensing Suite. But I just wanted to point out some of these things and show you kind of the outside of the car. And then when we hop in it, I'll show you a couple things. Now, the color we're looking at right now is called Cosmic Blue. And this has the gray interior. So if you wanted to get a feel for that interior, it's got a nice checkered stripe down there. And when we hop in the car, I'll show you a little bit more. But it's a nice light gray interior. It's a neoprene material. It's not officially neoprene. It's some, some fabric that they won't tell us exactly the name of, but it is actually really nice. It's got some stretch to it, so it's got some give, so you don't have to worry about tearing it that easy. And it absorbs water and things like that pretty well, so you're not gonna have to worry about that either. Now, the back of the car, you'll notice I've got my wraparound lights here. I've got my backup camera, which is actually right here. And then you can see I've got my bracket here because I'm over here at Howdy Honda here in Austin, Texas. So let's pop the trunk open. While we're talking about that, I will show you it's just a classic key in this model. So if you're looking for anything different, you're gonna need to climb trims. So just be aware of that. Now inside, this one actually has an addition in it here, so you can see that they've added the cargo liner here in the back, or trunk tray is what they'll name it. But just so you know, below this trunk tray is actually where you'll find your spare. So let me get down in here and I'll show you it. So your spare and your jacks and your accessories is all right there. You'll notice there's a funnel right there, and I'll explain what that funnel is here in just a second. While we're back here, I will point out it's a one-piece back here. So if you want to flip that down, you'll pull this piece towards me, and then you'll be able to flip down the back seats of the car, so if you need to lay anything through. Now, that funnel plays a role when it comes to your gas tank. So related to your gas tank, it is related to the door locks. So if I want to lock it, I can lock the doors on the car. It's locked, unlock my doors on the car, and it pops open for me. Now, if you were to run out of gas, it would be a little bit hard for you to just put something here, whatever your, whether it's a water bottle or whatever you can fill up, a milk jug, you're gonna need a little help. Excuse me. So that's where that funnel comes into play. You can put the funnel in there. It'll hold the valve open so that you can pour something into it, because this is capless, as you can see right here. So that's related to that. So, and it gives you a little sticker right here that talks about that funnel and the usage of it and how it works. So just so you're aware of that. Now, the back seat of the car, let's show you what it looks like back here. You don't have air vents in the back of this car just because of the size of the vehicle, so just be aware of that if you're looking at this and you have small ones, something to consider. But you do have seating for 5 in the car. You got 3 in the back, and you do have spots, tethers and anchors in case you need to hook up a car seat. 6 airbags in the car, so 2 front, 2 side, 2 full curtain. They run the full extent of the glass, and they do have rollover sensors. Now, I pulled the sticker out here and I have it set on the outside of the car. I always like to show this just in case there's something I miss. It's a 158 horsepower, 2-liter engine, so this is the only model that comes with that engine. The rest of them are going to have the 1.5-liter turbo. 4-wheel disc brakes, airbags I just mentioned, and then the Honda Sensing stuff we're going to go over here in the car in a minute. But I just wanted you to be able to see some of these basics. This is your pricing before destination, and then after it's been delivered to the dealership, you're right here. So just so you know where it should start from if you're looking on a website. Your gas mileage, so 30 in the city, 38 on the highway, and then your combined, and then your overall crash rating 5-star, and then your breakdown below. So just so you have some general details in case there's something I miss, you can always pause on the screen and look. So I just like to do that for everybody. So let's go ahead and hop in the car, and we'll go over some different features. All right, so when I hop in here, I'm gonna get it cranked up. So classic key start, as I mentioned, so let's get that put in there and going, and then we'll show you a couple things here. So the first thing I like to show you is right here, this digital display that loads up, and I'm actually gonna turn the car here just because we're facing into the sunlight. Let's face the direction where you can see a little bit better, and I'll turn the AC down here too, just because it is hot since I am out here in Texas. Okay, so I've got a nice digital display here, and you can see that I have a digital speedometer too, which I really do like for this car because it's very easy to read, and even when I have sun coming in, it prevents a lot of glare because it's very matte finish down there, so I really do like this for that. I wish they would line this up in some of the other vehicles. The CR-V and the Accord would be fantastic. So over here I can see my temperature gauge. Down below I can see how many miles I have, what the outside temperature is, that sort of thing. And then over on the right you can see I have a gas gauge over here where you can see that blue little hash mark is telling me that I'm almost completely full. So that's what's going on. Now, I can manage that display that you're seeing up there, and how I'm doing this to toggle through those screens is there's an I button right here for information, and it shows you those screens, so I can toggle through to different things as I go. So just to give you an idea for what you're looking at here, if I want tripometer information, I can access that. So, you know, current, previous trip, range, how many miles I have on this tank of gas. You can see 221 is listed right there. Jumping from that, I can get to, you know, my oil life. When I get down to 15% oil, the car will start to alert me. It'll throw a warning symbol up, and it'll give you a code. You can see A right there. It'll say A1, A2, or B1 or B2. You can look that up in the manual, or you can Google it. Honda's been doing this for years, but it'll tell you exactly what the dealership's going to recommend. Or if you want to take it somewhere else, you'll already know what the recommended, fix is for what visit you're on, right? So moving one over, I can go into my settings, vehicle settings. So this is where I can get to, you know, some of my driver assisted setups, meter setups, lighting setup. Door setup is the one that I like. Auto door lock. So this means when I hit 10 miles an hour, it's set up to where it'll automatically lock the doors of the car. If I want to change that, I can go in here and check, you know, when I shift to park, or I can turn it completely off. So I'm going to exit back out of that. One below that is unlocking the doors. So right now it's set up, the default is when I unlock the driver's side door, it'll then unlock the remaining doors of my car. Maybe I don't want that, or maybe I want to change it. I'll go in there and I can change it to, you know, when I shift to park, I want them to lock, or when the ignition switch is turned off, unlock all the doors, or I want to turn it completely off because I'm the only person ever in the car, and I don't want those other side doors unlocking at any point because there's not going to be people getting in and out of them. So that's where you can do that. And how I'm toggling through these is when I get to a menu, you know, I just press up or down to scroll through these menus and then select it with the enter button. And if you need to back out of a screen, you can always do that with the back button right here. So just so you could see those things, right? So that's where I was at on my door lock settings, auto door locks. So those are important. Hopefully they go over that if you're buying this at the dealership. If not, I just want you to know where these are. So let me back completely out and show you kind of where we went. So let me get out of this screen. So I'm going to exit completely. So vehicle settings, right? I want to select that, so I hit enter. From there, I can then scroll through all my options. When I get to door setup, that's where my door locks are at. So just so you know, and then maintenance info. Some of these other things is if I needed to reset stuff. That very first one is actually probably going to get commonly used too. If I need to reset my tire pressure monitoring light because it's gone off, that's where you would do it. So just so you understand what the settings on the car, right? So you saw that right there. Now down here, I've got my Bluetooth control. So to answer a call, to hang up a call, and for voice command, you know, if I want to say call so-and-so or that sort of thing, that's where I would use this button. So just so you understand these, I can answer off the steering wheel versus having to mess with my phone. Now over here on the left side, I want to show you some of the Honda sensing features, and know that when I start here, all the Honda sensing features can be turned on or off. Some of them are actively on unless you turn them off, and others, you know, you can toggle on and off. So the first one is road departure mitigation. You can see that green LED that lit up when I turned it on, and it'll also show you when it's turning on or off. Now what that is if I am driving off the side of the road, it'll give me an audible alert, and it'll actually start to shake the wheel to be like, hey, wake up, pay attention in case you're getting drowsy. So that's road departure mitigation. You can see I can easily turn that one on and off. So this is one of the other ones I was talking about where it's always on unless I press and hold to turn this feature off, and it's collision mitigation braking. So I'm going to press and hold again, and it's back on. So what that is if it's looking like I'm going to rear end another car, first it'll give me an audible alert, it'll flash in the dash, and then it'll actually start to apply the brakes to help prevent the accident. So that's collision mitigation braking. So this one's always on and running unless I press and hold this to turn it off. This one I can, you know, toggle on and off as I go, you know, and it'll you know, stay off if I turn the car off and turn it back on. This one is always on. So vehicle stability assist is right here. This works with your traction control. So in the event that you go into a skid, it's going to transfer power to whichever wheel is getting better traction. So it's just there to help correct on a skid. So really the only reason you want to turn this off is maybe you're stuck in the mud and somebody's helped push you or pull you out, and you don't want the wheels to you know, try to be correct for themselves. That's about the only time. Other than that, I would say just leave this on. Okay, so some of the additional Honda sensing features are on the steering wheel here. So if the main button is on, you're going to see ACC and LKS up there, right? So you can see them flashing. ACC stands for Adaptive Cruise Control. So let's start on that one. Adaptive Cruise Control is kind of what it sounds like. It's cruise control, but there's an adaptation to it. So when I get to the speed I want to set, I would press set, and then it would see where it says ACC off because I'm not moving and I don't have my seatbelt on. It would show me my speed right there. Now, once I've set my speed, I can then set the distance it's going to keep between me and the cars in front of me using this button. So as I press this, you're going to see boxes appear. The more boxes appear, the more space it's going to keep between me and that car in front of me. So that's what it's set up for, so that if I set it to 65, the guy in front of me keeps slowing down and speeding up, I don't have to worry about turning it on and off. It'll just keep my speed and keep that distance. And how it's doing so is it's using that camera up here that I mentioned earlier when we're outside the car, and that radar that's down in the grill to detect that car in front of me. So that's what it's using. Now, if you just want to flip over to a classic cruise control, just press and hold this button, and then you'll see it'll say cruise mode selected. So now I'm just in a classic cruise control where I have the set, cancel, resume, just like any other car. If I want to flip back, press and hold, and we're back to adaptive cruise control, right? So that's adaptive cruise control. Now the other one you're gonna see up there is LKAS. So you can see them flashing in, right? So LKAS stands for Lane Keep Assist. So that uses this one button right here. So if I press that button, you're gonna see some dotted lines come on up there, right? So see them flashing at you? All right, so it uses the camera up here to detect the lines on the road. Now, once you're going over 45, so that's one of the stipulations to this, it'll start actively looking for the lines. Now, when it detects them, if you start to drift a little bit to your left or your right out of the lane, it's gonna correct for you. So now if you're putting your blinker on, it's gonna assume you mean to get over and it's gonna let you go. If not though, you're gonna feel it kind of pull a little bit to the left or the right. You can overpower it, so if you had this on and you saw an upcoming accident and you need to get over quickly without using your blinker, no big deal, you're gonna be able to do it. But what this is designed for is that you're not distracted, you lean over, you go grab your coffee or something, and you drift into the guy next to you. For people who text, this is probably right up your alley, because everyone I think at some point has looked down at their phone and looked up and been halfway into another lane. So this is to help prevent that. Obviously don't text and drive, but if you were in a situation similar to that, that's where this would come into play. If your kid spilled something on you, your dog was jumping on you, you can come up with a lot of different reasons. So that's Lane Keep Assist. Now, one caveat to Lane Keep Assist is if you have your windshield wipers on, it will disengage this feature because they want you to actively focus on the road. So if you're thinking, hey, when I'm driving to the rain, I think it's malfunctioning, it's not working, no, it's set to disengage. So just be aware of that. Over here on the left side, you have your light control, so I can set them to auto. I do have auto headlights, set at that, and they'll turn on and off as they go. And on the right side, I have my windshield wiper control, so pull down to set them, right? Easy enough, and then pull towards you if you need to sprinkle some water up on the car. So that's kind of your rundown of the steering wheel. As we move over here, I do want to show your backup camera, so I'm going to throw it in reverse here and walk you through that part. You've got a colored display screen here. It's a 5-inch display screen. If you go up the next model, you're gonna get a 7-inch, which is about from here to here. And it's full touch screen related to just an LCD screen with buttons. So just one of those things, if you go up to the sport model, you're gonna get. A lot of people like it for that reason. They also jump up to the sport model because it has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, where I can plug my phone into the USB, which is right here, and access my navigation, my music, my message, a lot of different info on the screen and be able to use it interactively, right? So that is a big reason that a lot of people will push up to that next model. In case you're wondering, hey, why would I want to jump up? That would probably be the main reason, is that touchscreen and the use of Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So now, while we're on this, if you're just thinking, hey, this works good for me, I just want a classic display, I can press this button and switch through the different views. So I've got a wide angle view, 170 degrees. I've got a classic backup camera, and then one aimed straight down. So this is like if I was backing up to a garage, a bush, I was worried about my kid's bicycle being behind. When I'm backing out the car, I'd be able to see those items if they were right up on the bumper. So it's just very helpful. And you can see those same dotted lines like 6 inches from your car. Solid line right here is if you're parallel parking, you want the car to be on the other side of these lines. And you can see all those lines right here and here. And then a secondary line if you need extra space. So that's your backup camera and how it works. Now, as far as the screen goes, you can see it's a pretty basic setup. When I turn the audio on, it'll give me a display up here and show me what I'm listening to. As far as the radio goes, I've got FM 1A and 2 and then AM 1 and 2, right? Media-wise, I can jump over to USB, which I just showed you. One of your USBs is right down in there. So that's where you could plug in as far as audio goes. If you're moving up a model, then you would add an additional USB, which would be down there in the center console. But as such, this one just has the one. Now, media-wise, you've got your Bluetooth, so I can wirelessly connect up to the car and listen to music, or I can plug into that USB, whether it be a thumb drive, my phone, whatever it be, and play music directly through it, or if I have music saved to a device or, like a USB drive, I could go that route too. So a couple different ways I can do it. So very easy to use on this car because there's mainly just 2 buttons that you're gonna play with. And then jumping over to Bluetooth. If you've never added a phone, how to do it, I would just scroll down to yes, hit yes, and then make sure my Bluetooth is on and search my car for my phone and my phone for the car, and then connect up. So pretty easy to use there too, just so you understand how that works. So your Bluetooth button right there. Once I've connected up, when I press this, it'll pull up like my contact list and let me scroll through and give me some different options. But keep in mind, if you're driving, it will prevent some of those options because it's going to want you to use that voice command button over here. Your equalizer is right here, so if you want to change bass, mid, trebles, mess with any of that stuff, you absolutely can play with the car. It's a 4-speaker system, so you're not going to get a ton out of this car. This isn't designed for the best audio. It's fine, and just to give you an idea, I'll jump over to some, just so you can hear. This is Christian music, but you'll get the idea. It'll get plenty loud enough for you to listen to your music standard, but you're not gonna, if you're an audio head or an audiophile or whatever you want to call yourself, this probably isn't going to be the best setup for you. You're probably going to add to it. Menu clock, you can adjust anything right there and get to some of your settings if you want to play with different stuff. RDS just stands for like showing you what music is playing. Bluetooth, you give your options if you want to add a second or third phone. Display adjustments if you want to go to a certain time, like military time or regular time. Rear camera if you want to turn off the, like the lines that I was showing you. And then you have a wallpaper that you can play with here additionally too. On the color theme, if you want to change it to red, blue, green, I want to say there's an amber. Yeah, so you have some different things that you can do here too. So it gives you a little bit of customization when it comes to that, but not a ton in this phone compared to if you go up to the touchscreen in the next model up. So just be aware of that. All right, so down here, a couple things. Your shifter, you got to set up park, reverse, neutral, drive. There's a sport mode, and then your lowered gears. Sport mode just revs a little bit higher RPM, give you a little bit more get up and go, but you're gonna give up gas mileage. If you're in stop and go traffic, this feature will actually hold the brake while the car is in drive. So if I put the car in drive and press the brake hold button, you're gonna see brake hold appear up here, but it'll show you brake hold and it'll say hold, meaning it's now holding the brake for me. So I can let my foot off the brakes, so nothing touching the pedals while the car is in drive, and I'm not moving. The minute I touch the gas, it's gonna release the hold button. I'll start to move forward, and then when I come to a complete stop, it'll mark the hold button again, and now it's holding so I can release my foot. So this is really like for stop and go traffic, and it's more of a convenience feature. The one thing I do like about this is you have to have your seatbelt on for it, but where I catch myself thinking I would use this is if I was on a drive-through line, and I keep moving 4 inches at a time, right? But if I take my seatbelt off because I can't reach the ATM or the person, I'm worried of what it'll do, but it'll actually immediately disengage brake hold, but it'll throw on the parking brake. So it automatically did that while the car's in drive, so I don't roll into anybody in front of me, and I can reach out and grab my bag or whatever it would be that I was getting. So really cool that they added that feature to it additionally too. So I'm gonna move that back into park here. Your electronic parking brake, you press down to release it, up to set it, and you can see the LED when it's set, and it'll also show you that it's set down there. So just so you understand how that works. Econ mode will improve gas mileage of the car. Whenever you have it engaged, you'll see a green leaf up here. It just means that you're gonna get better gas mileage, but it's a give and take system, so you're gonna give up some of your AC ability as far as pumping out cold air, and some of the electrical systems on the front end of the hood. The main two that affect you are the AC and your accelerator. If you smash it to the floorboard and you have this button on, you're not gonna have as much get up and go, so just be aware of that. Your center console is actually pretty cool. It's sliding, and then it does pop open. I've got it set up for my classic drinks if I want to go that route. If I have like a big water bottle, I can drop it down in the big hole. So pretty cool how they set up. The only thing I don't like is it doesn't completely cover. So I like to be able to hide stuff away just because I figure if they don't see it, then they won't steal it, right? But you do have, in here that you could throw stuff if you needed to. Other than that, it's a classic, what I call new car. It's got your mirrors. I don't believe they're lit in this model. You got to climb up some models to get lit vanity mirrors if you want. And it doesn't have a moonroof. You'd have to go up to the EX. So that would be 2 models up from the Sport. So next, we're going to take it on a test drive, show you how some of these features work, and just kind of go over it and just kind of give you my rundown of what I would recommend if you're thinking about this and comparing it to the Sport. So let's go ahead and hop on over to the test drive.
Hey guys, Justin Fuller. All right, so we're gonna take this test drive in this 2020 Honda Civic, and this is the LX model. So this is your base model. So some very basic functions. As I take off here, I'll kind of go over what some of those are. This one comes with a 2-liter engine. So this isn't the 1.5-liter turbo that you're gonna find in a lot of the other trim levels. But safety-wise, it still has Honda sensing, so your corrective driving, braking systems like that. Still has 6 airbags just like the models above it. So if you're concerned that this may not be as safe of a model, I wouldn't worry as much about that. Just letting you know that this is kind of where the price point starts on the car, right? So if you're thinking, hey, I just want something basic to get my kid in to be safe, or I just need a basic car to use as a commuter, this is a great car. But you're giving up things like moon roofs and alloy wheels on the outside and touchscreens in the car and Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which I do like. So just something to be aware of. Now, if you're thinking you want to move from this model up to the Sport model, from the exterior wise, it is a sportier look to the car. So it has a little bit nicer wheel, an alloy wheel, a body kit along it. And so it does offer kind of a nice looking vehicle. Now, as far as interior of the car, the things that you're going to be kind of losing out is you do have a key fob in that model, which I do like versus just a regular keyed start. But it does have the 7-inch display touchscreen, which I really like, just because you have access to Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So let me get going down here on the road, and I'm going to gas it real good here for us while we're talking. All right, so I'm up to 30, 40, 50, so 60. If if you're getting on the highway or something right here, so I was able to do that in a couple seconds. You can hear the rev of the CVT, and I imagine you could hear that in the video. So it's how a CVT is set up, and a lot of people, if you talk to older car dogs, a lot of them are typically concerned about them, and I would agree that some of the older model, and this is going to be 20 years ago, CVTs weren't that great. While they are better on gas mileage and they have less parts, so in the long term you're thinking less parts, less to break, less I have to fix, not a bad way to look at it, right? But in previous years, they just didn't have the get up and go, and they kind of rubber banded to where you were gassing real hard and eventually it would take up and go. Now I think they've really tweaked things and made it better. And since it's Honda, I find that because they mass produce cars and they sell quite a few, and it's a Civic, so it's one of their their trademark vehicles, I trust that if they're going to put it in that car, you can trust this transmission. So the CVT, the only thing I would warn you if you're not used to one is that you're going to hear that rev up, and I'll get you again here for that rev. See if you can hear it, because I'm going to set some additional features here. So a little bit of rev. As far as road noise goes, though, just to test that, I just got up to 60 there, and I could easily have a conversation with somebody. I could turn up the stereo, listen to that, talk via Bluetooth if I needed to, and it wouldn't be any point where I would be like, man, I really can't hear. Now, if I was taking a 17-hour road trip and I was in this car, would I eventually get a little bit tired of maybe the ride or the sound? Maybe, but I don't see myself taking that kind of trip in this car. And if I did, maybe be once a year, so it wouldn't be that big a deal. So I've actually got the lane keep assist actively working for me here. And let's check. Yeah, so you can see my hands right here, and it's actually keeping me centered inside of the lane right now. And I'm hovering them over the steering wheel just because I want to be safe. But I like to check to make sure it's actively reading the road and working. I'm going 55, so I'm going over that 45 that you have to be able to go to use this feature. So put on my blinker here and get over. I'm gonna hop up on the highway and see if I can use the adaptive cruise control additionally too. And I am coming into some traffic, so this is actually gonna work out perfectly. So that way I can get up to my speed here. So I'm going 70, I got that set. And it says, actually, let me slow down a little bit here so I can squeeze in between two cars here. All right, so perfect. All right, so I'm in between some cars, get up to my speed. I'm gonna set my speed. So I got my set, I got my spacing, perfect. So I set it to 54, and it's actually got me down to 50 right now to keep that spacing between me and the car in front of me. And I can decrease that spacing with the button I showed you that showed the car in the boxes. So if I press that button, I can decrease the amount of space or create more space. So if you find that you're in a busy, maybe a metro area, and cars keep cutting in front of you, maybe you want to decrease that space a little bit, as I would find here in Austin. But the feature works great. I was able to hop on and keep designated spacing. I'm actually using lane keep assist at the same time, so I don't have to worry about drifting in and out of my lane, and it's keeping spacing in front of me. So these features are really awesome for a long road trip. So if you did take that 17-hour road trip, where you might be giving up a little bit as far as road noise or the smoothness of the ride, if I was in like an Accord or a CR-V at that higher price point, I am using these same features that you would find in those cars. So for that reason, I love this car. And to be perfectly honest, I am a little bit biased because I have previously owned a Honda, specifically a Civic. Mind you, mine was a coupe versus the four-door. So from that standpoint, I love the Civic. Now, all the features that they've added since the years that I've owned one is incredible to me. To have these features, in a car that starts around the 21K price point amazes me brand new. Or that you could lease one and be, in the 300s or sometimes even in the 200s, depending on the deal. Well, that's specific to Texas. Depending on where you're at, it might fluctuate. So don't hold me to those. But it's a great car. Lane keep assist works. Your forward collision braking and warning system works. I'm not going to test that because I don't want to almost rear end somebody, but I know that they've worked because I have been on test drives with people where we've come up and somebody gets in front of you or is getting over, and your radar will clip them and kind of pick them up, and it'll start to apply the brakes and alert you. So it's really cool, and I've seen all these features work, and I was able to use a couple of them here today. The road departure mitigation, if you want to test that, you could be on a road and start to drift on your shoulder and let it vibrate your wheel and give you that audible alert to check it. It does work, I can guarantee it. I hate to say that I've been on a test drive with a customer where we actually got to check that feature, but I know that these features work. So if you were a new driver or you were putting a new driver behind the wheel of one of these, I would feel a lot more comfortable only knowing that there are so many safety features here to help them out. Would I want to put them in the next model up? Is it sportier looking? Yes. Does it offer Apple CarPlay where I can integrate their navigation onto the touchscreen versus them having the phone mounted somewhere? I really do like that for a new driver. I even like that for an older driver who just doesn't want to mess with it, wants it on a nice big display high up on the dash to where they can see really well versus trying to look at their phone, which might be a 4-inch display screen or depending on what size your phone is. So for that reason, I think the sport model, it really is to me worth the money to jump up from this one. But if you're just wanting a point A to point B vehicle, you're trying to keep your price point down, down, or you found one of these used with low mileage or something that just really fits your budget, it's 100% worth it. It's a great car. It's a 2-liter gasoline engine, so you're not looking into that turbo side of things. It sometimes makes people wonder or worry a little bit. I don't worry about that, but I understand that some people do, as far as thinking long-term and what the upkeep would be. So it's a standard gasoline engine. The CVT should last you quite a long time. These have been in the car, I think, since 2013, so I can't say enough about them that they've been around 7 years and we're not seeing these massive recalls or anything crazy on them. So from that standpoint, I like the transmission, I like the engine. It's bulletproof, it's a Honda, it's a Civic, it's a great car. So if I was putting a new driver in, great. If I was putting even an older driver, maybe it's somebody who wants to lease this car, who's just older on a fixed budget and wants to have a car where they can get around town, but they don't want to spend a ton of money. This is a great car. It's got a backup camera, it's got Bluetooth, it's got my Honda sensing to help in case they're not the most alert or the quickest anymore. It's perfect for that kind of driver too. So it's a pretty versatile car. The only thing I would say about an older driver in this car is because it sits lower, my younger drivers can hop in and out. They've got fresh legs and knees and backs. My older drivers, you are going to climb down in this car a little bit more, so I like the CR-V a little bit better for that. But the CR-V doesn't lease nearly as well. So if you're looking at a lease, I would push you towards the Civic or an Accord. But if you're thinking of purchase, you know, if you got the extra money, I like the CR-V for my older drivers because they transition in and out of the car. But the features that they offer are identical. Your LX CR-V versus your LX Civic, it's the same features, same in the Accord. It's just a higher price point and a little bit bigger vehicle. So just something to be aware of in case you're thinking, hey, do I want a Civic, do I want an Accord? What am I getting by getting the LX Accord or the LX Civic? Well, I would tell you, you're really not getting anything other than a little bit more space in the car, and really that's landing in your second row. So just something to be aware of. But in relation to this car, price point's good. The safety features are great. The road noise is a little bit louder than like a you know, a CR-V or an Accord. So if you're taking a lot of long road trips, maybe you want to upgrade, but you have to decide if it's worth the extra money because it is a pretty good jump to go from, you know, you're talking 4 or 5 grand to go from a Civic to like an Accord or to go to CR-V. Now, if you're cross-shopping this car to like a Corolla or something like that, I really do like this car for a lot of reasons. And one of the big reasons I do like this car is they don't sell them to fleet services. And what that means is they don't sell them to rental agencies. Not that I have an issue with that. I think if you make a good product, why not? But the issue with that becomes at the end of 3 years, they take a whole bunch of a certain kind of car and they dump them into the market. Now, if you're someone who has bought a Corolla or a car like that, and then suddenly you're thinking you want to trade it in, but they just dropped, you know, 50,000 of them into the market because they were all rental cars or, you know, whatever the number may be. Suddenly you can see how the value of your vehicle has just dropped dramatically because now they've flooded the market with them. And they consistently do that because they sell to them every year and rental agencies replace these cars. So for that reason, I like the Hondas a little bit more. Mind you, I'm biased. I worked at a dealership and I owned one, right? But I just want you to keep that in mind because it's not something that always gets brought up. And it is something that is kind of important to know is that if these are going to land in the market, now if you're planning to drive it till the wheels fall off, who cares? Buy whatever you want. But if you're thinking that my life could transition, things could change, I may be in a different vehicle, that's something to keep in mind because resale value will play a role in your trade-in value. So other than that, great car, love it, like it. Driven one myself, so I can't say enough good things. If you're thinking about getting one, absolutely you should. Now, if you need help figuring out what trim level, let me know. We can always do that, and I've made videos, I think, on every single trim level of this car, so you'll be able to see those too. At the end of this video, you'll actually be able to click up in one of the corners, and I'll have all my 2020 quick views if you want to watch a different review. Other than that, if you have questions, holler at me, please let me know. Give me a call, give me a text, give me an email. You can call me at 737-443-9555. That's my cell, or you can shoot me a text, or you can email me the letter J, then F, then underscore 1064 at Yahoo. Other than that, I have 2 favors to ask of you. 1, if you want to subscribe, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button. I got 3 to ask for you. And please leave a comment. Let me know if there's something you wish I would have gone over, or if there's something in a car that you want help with. Please let me know that too. I'd be more than happy to help you out. Other than that, wish you the best, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.